we do have to start with the Phils. And what a blessing it is to start with the Phils in December. It must mean something great is happening.
They did sign Brad Keller.
Yeah, so it's amazing. Yesterday when Dave Dombrowski spoke and we asked Jack to get the relevant sound, there was a little bit of relevant sound that we did not hear. Here is what Dave Dombrowski said about, where the roster stands and where it may stand when they start the season in April.
Anything else you look at? Bullpen rotation? I mean, what else do you look at?
Well, I think you're always to get better, but I don't have a real big need. I guess we look for, arms in the bullpen, but we're also, we've got 5 solid guys out there that are a veteran status. And so sometimes you have to give some young guys an opportunity too. We think that we have some guys that we like. So, that's really where it stands. And maybe, depth at different positions, we're dealing with that. But I think as far as our everyday positional players, other than catcher, we're pretty well set.
Pretty well set. So what the Phillies are telling you quite clearly with this offseason is that winning a World Series for the 2026 Phillies is not the most important thing to the organization. I think they could win the World Series, right? But it is not the most important thing to the Phillies to win the World Series. It simply can't be. If you're saying that you were a good team last year, which they were, but not good enough, which they weren't, the goal should be to get better. And they're not getting better in any meaningful way. Their goal, the Phillies' goal, is not to win a World Series in 2026, is to give everyone a good team, that players they sort of like as they go through the summer. And if it ends in October, when it has over the last couple of years, then you know what? The Eagles will be playing and nobody will be that mad anyway. That is what giving Kyle Schwarber 5 years, $150 million will be, and that's about it. You'll get JT Realmuto, and that's about it. How are they going to be better than they were last year, as the Dodgers are out there trying to get better? One of the best teams we've seen is out there trying to get better. Trey Turner basically had a career year last year, so he's not going to be better next year. Kyle Schwarber had a career year last year. He's not going to be better. Christopher Sanchez had a career year last year. He's not going to be better, right? Ranger Suarez had a career, not a Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo had a career year last year. He's not going to be better. And they're all getting older, and their decision to get better this year was to get rid of one 32-year-old right fielder who struck out 175 times a year and get a different right fielder who's going to strike out 175 times a year, get a young player who we all want to see and put him in center field, a position that he has not played particularly well, and have once again a platoon in left field. So who knows what? I just don't, is that enough for everyone? I just wonder with baseball, Ike, you've said this a few times, it's just like, we just want to see the players we like and have a good team as we sort of drift through the summer. It's not enough for me. I want them to win a World Series. I don't want this to be an era that we look back on and say, woulda, coulda, shoulda, what happened? And the final thing is that I'll remind the Phillies and everyone else, just having players you like that are good does not guarantee a full Citizens Bank Park. It doesn't. We've had plenty of years where we had players that we liked, whether it's Jim Thome or whether it's Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Brian Howard. When the team's not good, or not good enough, that building doesn't just fill up because we like Kyle Schwarber and we like Bryce Harper. It's just, it hit me that is not their number one priority. And I thought their number one priority over the last 2 or 3 years was to win the World Series that year. And that is not what the priority for the 2026 Phillies is.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go that far. I understand right now it looks like they're running it back with the exception of a few minor tweaks. Will those tweaks be enough? Here's what I think. I look back at the Phillies over the last 2 or 3 years, not just looking at the Phillies, but looking at who won last year? Dodgers. Back-to-back for the Dodgers?
Yes.
Yeah, back-to-back for the Dodgers. Now, when trying to compare yourself to those guys, that roster is so out of the ordinary, it's almost unfair to any other team to try to measure themselves up to the Dodgers.
Absolutely.
So the way I look at it is, what the Phillies need ultimately is for their star players to come through in October. I don't know if they were going to sign someone significant enough with bringing Kyle Schwarber back to where that guy is going to get the at-bat that you want in the postseason that's going to get the key hit. We've had our top paid guys up in those moments, and they haven't come through. It's not as if, well, we've been up in these key moments and the bottom of the lineup has come up, and that's not good enough to win. So now we need to go find guys who hit in the 6th, 7th, or 8th hole can win games for us. No, our top guys need to come through. I always look at the bottom half of the lineup, and your role players are guys are there to really get you through the regular season so you don't put as much pressure on your star guys. Your star guys are supposed to come up in the postseason. This is a baseball team that won 96 games last year. One game away from winning the most games in the entire major leagues last year. What do? You're just going to change the roster when you've been successful? And they've done that, by the way. I know you talked about the career seasons from those other guys, and I agree. But they also didn't have Zach Wheeler for a large portion of the season. They didn't have their closer for a large portion of the season, so they went out and traded for the closer that they eventually wound up with in Duran. They didn't have Bryce Harper for about a month. They didn't have Alec Boehm for about a month. Like they missed a lot of time with a lot of key players and still came up with the second most wins in baseball. How much of the roster do we really want to change?
Well, but I guess my question is, are we really confident that Bryce Harper's not going to miss a month this year? Of course not. We're not confident he's not going to miss a month. He's missed time almost every year he's been here.
20, 25 games.
Yeah,
I agree.
I
only need him to play 135, 140.
I agree with you on the star players need to come through, but my concern is that if you then don't double down on Kyle Schwarber. Then do something different, because I just see a roster full of 32-year-olds and 33-year-olds who are probably, even if they're not past their prime, man, it is the very last step of their prime.
Sure.
And we doubled down on it. Trey's here for another 6 years, 7 years. Yeah. Bryce Harper's here for another 6 years. We just signed up for Kyle Schwarber for another 5 years.
This window stays open for another 3 years.
I just say, if you're going to rebuild and retool and take a step back, then fine, but then don't go spend $150 million on Kyle Schwarber. Find a way to not just bury yourself for the next half decade.
But they didn't rebuild.
I know, but they didn't
run it back.
But they didn't get better. They're worse. I guess just I don't see.
They're worse?
Yes.
Nah.
Of course they're going to be. How could they be better?
Well, I mean from a result standpoint? I don't know if they're going to win more than 96 games.
From an individual player standpoint, they're all on the decline. I mean, Kyle Schwarber is on the decline. Bryce Harper is probably on the decline.
But how big of that drop of a decline? If you gradually decline, there's nothing wrong with that. You can gradually decline and still be productive. These aren't guys that were fringe players. When you're a star player, like if Kyle Schwarber goes from 56 home runs to 46 home runs, are we gonna be upset about that?
Well, then I guess my point is, if you're going to build a team full of aging stars, the high-paid aging stars, to win right now, then go double down on it. Then go spend money on an outfield or two. Then go sign Alex Bregman for third base. Then go trade for Stephen Kwan. Like if you've decided that what this year is about doubling down on those stars, then double down on them. Don't half-ass it. Don't put a rookie in center field who doesn't play center field that well. Don't replace your right fielder with a nice, fine player or whatever. Go replace a right fielder with a real right fielder. Do something that doubles down on these guys.
What's all that cost?
I don't care anymore.
Well, I mean, they brought back Schwarber, so you got to take that into consideration.
Sure, yes, but that again,
if they didn't bring back Schwarber, then they have more money to spend on those type of players.
Yes, but they have plenty of money.
There's not a player that I would rather have on the team than Kyle Schwarber, unless it's a young 27-year-old, 26-year-old guy who's going to bring me power, and we're going to have him here. I don't know if that guy exists for us out there. Where's that guy at?
Well, I mean, there were two 29-year-olds right fielders who were on the market that he could have signed in Kyle Tucker and Cody Bellinger. They're both there. They both hit 30 home runs. They both play. Bellinger plays a good right field. Tucker's okay. They're both 29 years old, and you could have signed both those guys and would have made them a better baseball team.
What would it have cost?
Well, Bellinger $200 million, and then Kyle Tucker, I don't know, $350.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. Well, they got Schwarber for $150.
Well, for 5 years, maybe
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker's 8 years or 9 years. Like I don't know. It's just this reeks of keep the fans happy with Schwarber and roll the same thing out there. And I just like if you're going to spend money on Kyle Schwarber, then double down and give me a team that I feel like really has a chance to compete this year. And if you're not going to do that, then don't sign Schwarber. Then start building for the future. Then don't put yourself in a bad position for the next few years.
Okay, let me ask you this. 'Cause I'm not saying you're completely wrong, but what I'm doing is I'm looking at this thing from the Phillies standpoint.
Yep.
And they are removed 2 months from that ill feeling of losing to the Dodgers, who, by the way, they outscored in the overall series in 4 games.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Hang a banner.
They played them better than anybody else did.
Hang a banner.
I'm just saying.
Well, the Blue Jays.
The Blue
played them
Jays
better.
did take
Yeah,
them 7,
yeah.
so yes. Can't forget about that. Yes, they actually,
7 and extra innings.
They actually beat them 3
Yes,
times.
yeah, yeah. We won one game. Let's relax.
I agree
Yeah,
with you
okay.
on that. I agree with you there. I agree with you on that one. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, I look at this team, and I'm wondering if they feel like, again, other than the Dodgers, who has separated themselves, particularly in the National League. It's hard for them to put a roster together where they can absolutely say, we can go beat the Dodgers. They can sign Cal Tucker or they can sign Bettinger, and they can still lose to the Dodgers.
Of course.
So
yes.
From their standpoint, how much can they actually change that's going to make them better than the Dodgers? They still are one of the better teams in the National League. Is there another team in the National League would say is clearly better than the Phillies?
No.
I'm just asking. I don't know. Other than the Dodgers.
No.
Padres are probably selling off some pieces, so they'll take a step back.
Yeah.
Braves should have a bounce back
What
year.
do we think Milwaukee does this year?
But similar year.
Yeah,
Okay.
They're
same
the
thing.
Hawks. I told
Yeah.
you. 2015 Hawks every year. Every year.
Well, then what are we?
We're a very good team.
And by the way,
Well, they're a very good team too.
I agree.
by the way,
But they don't have stars.
had we finished the season off correctly and got the seed that we needed, which would have been the number 1 seed,
Yes.
then maybe we avoid the Dodgers.
Well, yeah.
And Milwaukee plays them in that round.
Yeah.
They beat Milwaukee. We get to the NLCS, still lose to the Dodgers.
Correct.
And everybody feels different.
Bang.
Yes. That's the plan.
The woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
Only lost in the NLCS.
All right. 215.
I'm just saying.
215-592-9494. Do you feel like winning the World Series in 2026 is the most important thing for the organization based on what you've seen this offseason and based on what you heard Dave Dombrowski say?